7.2 million men. Prime working age, this is between the age of 25 and 54. These men are not working, and even worse, they're not looking to work. The vast majority of these prime age men are spending around 2,000 hours a year on screens.
Over 30 million men are no longer working. They've come to the conclusion that it's no longer worth it. So instead, they're staying home, playing video games, and living their best lives. Today's video comes from the Philosophical Gamer. His channel will be linked in the description so you can go check him out and support his content. Watch to the end of the video to fully understand the implications of so many men dropping out of society and how this is going to affect society and women going forward. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
The mainstream media and society at large have abused, discarded, and ignored men for decades. They told us that we're useless and that they don't need us. So we adapted and did exactly what they asked. Millions of men stopped working, dating, and participating in society as a whole. After all, you need us like a fish needs a bicycle, right? Well, it turns out they might have spoken too soon. 10 million men just dropped out of work. The media will spin this however they want, but this is actually an incredible historical moment to be celebrated, and I'll soon explain why. They're leaving the workforce in record numbers. Just a year ago, this number was 7 million, by the way. So we're making huge progress. These are all headlines from the same mainstream media that demonized us and told us they don't need us. All of a sudden, they care about us so much after ignoring us for decades. So, if they don't need us, why do they care if we don't work? It's obvious at this point that the whole narrative of "we don't need men" was all a massive bluff. Society was pretending like it was holding a full house, when in reality it was holding nothing at all. The problem, however, was men of generations past just didn't have the courage or the intelligence to call out this bluff.
So he's absolutely right about it being a bluff. One of my subscribers left a comment that I want to share with you very quickly. It was on my video, Leftover Women Are Filled with Regret, and my subscriber sub says, "If you show women that you can walk away, they lose their minds. I was talking to this Chinese girl the past 2 weeks. We video chatted, texted every day. Seemed great. I have to take paid vacation by the end of the year or lose it. So I thought I would go see her. Last week, she asked me what my height is. I'm only 2 centimeters taller than her. So she wants to break it off with me. I tell her, okay, well, best of luck to you. No simping. Just walk away. A few days later, she asked me to say something. I just ignore her. Then I start getting walls of text messages from her saying she is sorry and begging me to still come see her. When you show them you can walk away, they literally lose their minds. Hold the line, men. You are the prize." Now, I want you to consider something very, very carefully. You weren't her first choice, and notice how superficial a woman can be when everything else works out, but suddenly, oh, she discovers that you're not tall enough. Then she's like, okay, bye. She can be talking to you, everything could be going very well. One small thing goes wrong and she's gone. But then as soon as she realizes that you were her best option, or another option falls through, so for example, because women always have multiple guys that they're dealing with, and then one of them falls through, then she immediately tries to rush back to you. Never ever allow them back into your life. This is one big game for them. The reality is that no man in their right mind should be dating in Western society right now. I agree entirely. Hold the line. It was one big bluff on their part, and they don't get it. Men are done. She doesn't, guys, most men are not talking to most women anymore. Most men are not dating anymore. Most men are not getting into relationships anymore. I mean, come 2030, 45% of all women in Western society in the United States will be childless and single. 45% of all women between the ages of 25 and 44. Women are facing, broke girl winter right now.
Gen Z men, however, saw right through this bluff and called them on it in the most epic way imaginable. They told you they didn't need you anymore, and so 10 million of you stood up and said, okay, let's put that to the test. And well, now we see just how weak their hand really was. I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I grew up actually wanting a traditional job, wife and kids. It wasn't until the economy got so screwed that I couldn't even get a minimum wage job despite applying hundreds of times, that I started looking for alternative ways to live without having to work. At that point, I realized I actually quite prefer this over having to work. Sure, I might not be able to buy as much stuff, but I came to realize I really don't need that much stuff anyways. The extra freedom and mental health benefits from not being involved with a job I hate and a boss yelling in my ear for 8 hours a day far outweighed the crap $7 an hour I would have gotten from them anyways. This is the realization that I think a lot of men are waking up to now. We're starting to reject the idea that we're nothing more than disposable ATM machines, money printing labor machines for the society that treats us like crap. It's ridiculous because society has gone a long way towards dismantling traditional gender roles for women. There is far less pressure on women to be a housewife or stay-at-home mom than ever before, and I think this is a good thing. But there's still the same archaic, outdated 1950s expectation for men to be wage slaves and uphold traditional male gender roles of being a breadwinner.
You see, what ended up happening is the ownership, or rather, the authority over women was transferred to the state from men. And, women traded men in for the state, So women are given special privileges and men are given special punishments. Women operate as agents of the state and men are prisoners of the state. However, men pay 80% of all taxes and women make 80% of all consumer purchases. The original contract, social contract, which they don't want to admit to, was that, as a man, you would protect the country, you would serve the country, and you would have authority in society. You would have authority over your family. You would have status. All of those things were ripped away from men. That's the reason why men fought hard for the United States. That's the reason why men fought in multiple world, situations, WARs, because they love their country and the privileges and freedoms that they had. So they were fighting for these things. They were fighting for the countries where they had authority. Men no longer have any authority, and rather, there is nothing more hated than a heterosexual man in Western society. There's nothing more hated than a heterosexual man in Western society. We are hated more than the cockroach. So men are saying, wait a minute, I'm being treated like crap. I'm being blamed for everything and anything. This is narcissistic abuse. I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. You don't want me in the gym. Men are being harassed when they go to the gym, to the point where women are now being banned from, being able to record workouts because they're using these cameras to harass these men. They're harassing men at the grocery store. They're harassing men at Home Depot. Why is this creepy man looking at me? Why is this creepy man here? Everywhere men go, they are being harassed. So what do men do? They completely walk away from society. So they immerse themselves in video games. And what are they doing? They're trying to destroy video games now as well. In the end, men are just creating new spaces. So men are walking away from society and they're just focusing on doing the things that they enjoy doing. For example, a lot of guys are now going back to older games. Like I said, I talk about GOG a lot. Good old games. And guys, I have over 200 games. A lot of these games are incredible. I was trying out Comic Zone recently. The game is lit. And it just almost brought tears to my eyes. Ultimately, a man does not need much to survive. And as men are looking at alternative ways of living, they may not make as much money, but because they're not out there working, because they're not out there stressing themselves out, they don't need as much. They don't have to buy brand new clothes to go to work every day. They don't have to put gas in their car to drive to work. They don't have to do any of these things. They don't have to pay for lunch every day. They're at home. So they can do meal prep. They can prepare all of their meals and stock their fridge with food for sometimes just a couple $100s a month. And they stay home and relax. They don't have to buy clothing to go to work, so they can just basically sit around in their pajamas or their sweats. And when they do go out, they can wear jeans and a t-shirt. They're not trying to attract a woman anymore, so they're not trying to flex social status. In fact, a lot of men are trying to fly under the radar and deliberately look poor. Not so poor that, it will draw attention to you, but poor enough so that women will not even notice you. So they're driving cheaper cars. Some guys are picking up cars for as cheap as $500, changing out a motor or transmission or whatever. And then these cars are like brand new. And they're driving these cars and living their best lives that are good on fuel. And the great thing is that they don't draw attention. They go home and they have everything that they need there. A nice gaming laptop is a one-time purchase. A PlayStation 5 is a one-time purchase. A lot of guys haven't even upgraded to PS5. They're still on PS4. Many of you have let me know you're still on PS3. Some of you are still on Atari and you're having a blast. Then there are guys like MK Fitness that love mobile gaming and they play mobile gaming all day long. There's so many guys right now that are just chilling with a cell phone. They have a backpack, they have a cell phone, and they are sleeping on the ground. And it's not because they can't afford a mattress. Oh, no, no, no. It's because they're part of the floor gang. The floor gang that likes to sleep on the floor. We have a bunch of these people on the channel. They'll pop up in the comments. It's like saying Beetlejuice. You just say floor gang, and these people will pop up in the comments. And they love to sleep on the floor. And they make it clear that they will never buy a mattress. Or there's the other guys who they just simply have a mattress on the floor. This is how they live. And they're never going to change. Because it's a simple life of luxury and comfort. Because the average man could live happily in a shoebox at the side of the road while the average woman can't. And also, guys, are you ready to take control of your financial future? Imagine achieving success without the burden of college debt. Our course, Your Path to Financial Success Without College, is designed to help you unlock your potential and achieve financial freedom. This course offers practical lessons, real-world strategies, and expert guidance to help you build wealth, invest wisely, and create multiple income streams, all without a college degree. Join a community of like-minded individuals who are transforming their lives and achieving their dreams. Don't wait. Click the link in the description to check out the Your Path to Financial Success Without College course and start your journey to financial independence today.
They view you as nothing more than dollar signs, a number on a spreadsheet. They'll shame you for being lazy and useless just because you don't make money. You could be an incredible artist, an incredible athlete, an incredible friend, brother, and father. None of that matters to them because all they see you as is a disposable money printing machine for the economy. But here's the good news. Past generations of men just accepted this and worked themselves into the ground. Gen Z men have woken up to this, however, and said, fuck that. Even if society treats you as worthless, disposable trash, you refuse to see yourself that way. You're standing up and saying no to the system, refusing to work for these corrupt corporations paying dog shit wages, and pursuing your own hobbies and passions that make you happy. And this is exactly what you should be doing. The next time someone tries to shame you for not working, ask them this. If women aren't expected to fulfill traditional female gender roles like cooking and cleaning, why the hell do I have to fulfill traditional male gender roles of being a wage slave cuck for a corrupt corporation that doesn't care about me? At this point, a lot of you are probably wondering, but how do you survive without working? Believe it or not, there's actually plenty of ways to make money without working a traditional 9-to-5 now. It's a common misconception that all these 10 million men are on welfare. Not that there's anything wrong with being on welfare in this garbage economy in the first place, but we'll talk about that more in a future video. But in 2024, there's plenty of ways to make enough money to survive without having to work a traditional 9-to-5. For example, I personally have lived quite happily for over 13 years now, without ever working a normal job.
A lot of guys have woken up and realized that You can find financial freedom and happiness without having to break your back in the labor force. And I talked about this. I've preached to you guys about this, how to learn how to do this, how to leverage all the resources around you in one of my exceptional courses. If you want to learn how to stop working and instead start living, you should actually check out the Survive and Thrive course. Guys, in today's challenging world, knowing how to thrive without spending a dime can make all the difference. That's why I created the Buy Nothing and Thrive course. This course teaches you how to secure cash, money, food, housing, healthcare, and more, all without spending a dime for any of it. Imagine having a trusted advisor showing you how to leverage available resources to stabilize your finances and grow your wealth. Join me and learn step by step strategies to maximize what's available to you and enhance your financial stability. Click the link in the description now to sign up.
But we're going to begin this hour with a not so bravo topic. We're talking about jobs and a major hiring crisis. It's a problem really bigger and older than the great resignation you've heard so much about. It's a problem you're not going to find in the unemployment rate, which is, of course, at near record lows. And it's because a large number of American men in particular, men in their prime working years, are actually not working, and they're not even looking for work. The result is a bit of a mystery and also a major hole in the American economy.
Taken for granted.
But there's more. According to one economist, some non-working men face a skills mismatch. A third have criminal records, making them ineligible for many jobs and making employers hesitant to hire them. And many rely on safety nets, such as disability. So you may wonder, what are these guys doing instead of work? Well, kind of what you might expect. Spending nearly 7 hours each weekday on average, relaxing, playing games, and watching TV.
There is a major awakening happening right now among men. Men are realizing they don't have to work those long hours anymore. They can basically do things like day trading. They can, buy a piece of land, put a tiny house on it. They can purchase a condo, whatever. It depends on their financial situation. And they can basically just invest their money, live within their means, and live a comfortable life of simplicity and happiness. Because for a man, simplicity is luxury. And they're saying that the juice is not worth the squeeze. Women in Western society do not understand that what makes a man desire them is their utility and the value that they provide. But a man is beginning to realize, men in general are beginning to realize that women don't bring anything to the table. In fact, women will tell men outright, do not expect me to bring anything of value to the relationship other than myself. All right? My presence is enough. And men are like, okay, yeah, this is not going to work. After Me Too scorched the earth and all the things that came after it, men are like, yeah, this is not worth it. Miss me with that. And they're choosing to just basically opt out. If they want a relationship, they'll go overseas and find someone overseas. And more of these men who are going overseas are not getting married now. At first, the first wave of passport kings were rushing overseas to find a wife. Now these men are rushing overseas just to find their peace. They're going overseas to find their peace, find tranquility, and, maybe have a little bit of fun. So many guys today are just losing more or less all interest in physical intimacy, though, because of the way that women carry themselves. If you have a woman who has a high body count and then she's turning around and acting like, now you're supposed to fall in love with her, that's a joke. And men are understanding, especially because of guys like Uncle Angry, that she never loved you. It was just your turn. She's just there to take all of these older series right now. And they're gold. There's tons of it. There are all of these older shows from the 90s. Okay? And men are going to go back to them. All of these old IPs. The risk, of course, is that, companies may start trying to edit them and take things out and so forth. But there are DVDs out there. There are VHSs out there. And there's also piracy. I've already said that we're going to start to see an old tax because companies are beginning to say, okay, well, all the recent stuff we're releasing is garbage. People are buying the older stuff, so we're just going to re-release the older stuff and then charge you a ton of money for that. And it's been working to some degree, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work forever, especially when these same companies are like, yeah, we're going to charge you, we're going to charge you $50, $60 for a game that was selling for 99 cents, digital, on Steam recently. And by the way, you don't own it and you will never own it and you own nothing. Yeah, men are not putting up with that nonsense. That's why I keep on saying GOG is incredible. Because basically, if buying isn't owning, then what men are saying is that piracy isn't stealing. And in the case of GOG, good old games, you can go onto GOG and you can buy your games on GOG. You can download them and download the installer, and they cannot be taken away from you. And that's one of the biggest benefits of using GOG. All right, it's GOG.com. I absolutely love it. I will keep on singing the praises of it because I feel like I'm getting more than I'm putting into it. I really get my money's worth. I have over 200 games on GOG right now, and that number just continues to increase. And every single day, I'm just so happy about that. I look at what Sony did with Concord. It's cost the company $500 million, and they're saying that they're still going to double down on live service games. And I keep telling you guys, these woke games are not going to go anywhere. They can't go anywhere because they've been doing this forever. All of these projects that they have in the works, they've been going on for like 10 years. So they can't just cancel them. The character models are already made. A lot of the work has already been done. We're just going to see one woke game after another woke game coming out in succession rapidly. All right. So even if they do want to change and shift it up a bit, they can't. At least for maybe not a half of a decade. All right. It's going to be years before many of these companies, even if they want to abandon the woke narrative, are able to do that because they've invested so much money in these properties, and they're just going to have to play it off. Like, when it comes to Ubisoft, they're done. They're done. That company is done for. Like, it's literally that whole dead man walking thing going on with Ubisoft right now. It's not a matter of if they collapse. It's like pretty much when they collapse. I mean, hey, maybe the devil will keep them going, but I don't think so. They've lost so much money. Ubisoft is a publicly traded company. They went from being worth something like $13 billion 5 years ago to now almost under $1 billion. Like, the company is cooked, and they continue to lose even more money. Okay, they're pushing back games, delaying things, coming out with cryptocurrency schemes where NFCs, like, that is yeah, guys, NFTs, like, that is such a scam. That is such a scam. They are desperate right now, and they're just going to continue going down this path until they die off and someone buys up their property, buys up their titles, and that's really it. And I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully the same thing will happen to Square Enix. Their stocks just slid $350 million, so they're down 10%, and that's a large number right there. And it continues to fall. And I want these companies that went woke to go broke and die off.
This has been on my mind quite a bit lately. Some of you may or may not have seen a lot of these articles and news stories and videos on YouTube or any other platform talking about how men are dropping out of the workforce. They don't want to work normal jobs anymore or anything like that. They're just like, you know what? We're done. And in my personal opinion, it mainly leads to the American dream that is no longer a dream. It's just a load of bullshit. Especially since a lot of us, men specifically, have realized society does not give a shit about us if we're sick, injured, or if you pass away. I think the only time a man really gets praise for all the things he has accomplished throughout his lifetime and really gets his flowers isn't until he dies.
And that's a real shocker, isn't it? It's something that they often say, that the first time a man usually gets flowers in his life is once he's no longer even with us, is at his funeral.
As much as I really hate saying that, I mean, the truth is the truth and it needs to be said. Because when you have a combination of things going on at the same time right now, like jobs not wanting to pay, Americans, a livable wage, as a lot of people would say, because you have a lot of undocumented or illegal aliens coming into this country that are taking those exact same jobs that Americans would have had and paying them significantly less money under the table to do the same job. That way, that employer's company can make a larger profit. And you also have those who went to school, got their degree in this, that, or whatever, and now they really can't find much work in that field, even if it's a field where there's supposed to be work available. And those individuals who are in massive student loan debt because they've been told that, oh, you have to get your degree in, in this, that, and the third in order to get the great jobs because people with degrees are making more money. Or at least that's what they've been led to believe. Even that's what I've been led to believe at one point. But thankfully, I did not go to any major university. I was never really interested in going to college like that because unless I was going to go for like a STEM field or anything like that, I just didn't see the point of going.
And that's what a lot of guys are realizing. That's the reason why they're discovering that, you know, even more men who don't have college degrees are dropping out of the economy than men who do, because the men who do have college degrees also have student loans. They have student loans, so they have to go and work harder and longer hours to pay back those student loans and to justify wasting years of their years of their lives in school, versus guys who never went to college, may have a trade, and as or they let's say they don't even have a trade, but they have no student loan debt, they still have their youth, and they realize that, hey, I can learn how to do some day trading, I can go deliver for Uber or DoorDash, and I can live an easy and comfortable life off just my savings. As soon as I have my, housing issues my housing taken care of, my food taken care of, I'm good. There's a lot of guys who are also on welfare, but many are not on welfare. But then there are those who do qualify. For example, men work themselves to the bone, and we end up with injuries, we end up with back problems, all kinds of stuff. And then when we do go to the doctor, they find everything wrong with us. So we end up actually qualifying for disability pretty damn easily because we're so damn messed up. Usually the average man will just work through it and keep pushing himself until he's crippled. But now guys are like, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. So they may go and file for disability, and they get themselves into, public housing, low income housing, get that Section 8 or whatever, and now they're living for free off the state, so they don't have to worry about paying rent. They get themselves an EBT card, so they're collecting food from that, and then they also understand the other things I mentioned in my course, so they know how to use how to survive without having to work, so they know how to get clothing, they know how to get toiletries, they know how to get all of these things for free. So now suddenly, and these are the same things, food, all of it. So, all of their needs are basically being provided for them. And if they need anything else, it's basically just money for video games and entertainment. And a lot of guys, again, they don't need much to survive. I have way more video games than I should. I have way more. I have over 200 games on Steam that I purchased this year alone. I purchased over 200 games on Steam, and then I got pissed off with Steam because I really came to the understanding I don't own anything. And I started, purchasing from GOG, and it's been a wild ride. I'm not gonna lie. I've probably spent about almost $2,000 on GOG games over just like the last month or so. I know you guys are like, "What?" Yeah. But listen to me. These are I actually own them, and I'm pleased with what I have done. It makes me happy. I have no wife, I have no kids, but I do have my GOG games. I have everything from God of War, the latest God of War, not Ragnarok, but the one before that, to Hollow Knight and the entire Batman Arkham series. I mean, I'm leaving out a lot. I'm really, really leaving out a lot. But I have a lot of games. I have an absolute ton of games. I have tons of stuff on the wish list. I'm waiting for them to come down, like go on sale. And I'm picking up a lot of these games for pennies. And then there's so many great games from the 90s. I have Cyberpunk. I've got The Witcher 3 with all the DLC. I've got the entire Fallout series from 1 all the way to 4, including New Vegas, Kingdom Come. I mean, guys, I'm doing well. I'm eating well. I'm eating well. Okay. I mean, I own so many games. I own so many games. Like I said, over 200. I have almost 200. I have almost 230 games in my library right now. I don't think I will ever get to play all of these games. Even bangers like Bloodstained, I have that, and I can download these games whenever I want to. I have the entire Crisis. I have most of the Crisis series. I have Crisis Warhead, Crisis Wars. Games like Days Gone, even Dead Cell. I love Dead Cell. Maybe I'll play some Dead Cell after I finish recording this video. I have the first Dead Space, which was absolutely incredible. I'm waiting for System Shock 2 to come out, enhanced version. It looks absolutely insane. Games like Disco Elysium are on there, the final cut. I mean, I just picked up Dragon Age Origins pretty recently. I mean, guys, we eat well. We eat well, we're living well. We don't need society. And once you realize that, the woman that you're with, she is never really yours. And you understand she has a body count, she doesn't actually want to be with you. She's trying to use physical intimacy as a bargaining chip. Men are realizing, yeah, it's supposed to be fun. That's something that's supposed to be fun. That's not something that is supposed to be, used as a bargaining chip or a weapon in a relationship. And guys are like, I'd rather be alone than feel alone. They've seen what other men have gone through. They've gone through it themselves, and they're opting out. There's some guys who realized this like decades ago and just never got started. I'm hearing from guys who are telling me, "Hey, Angry, I'm a 53-year-old virgin." And I walked away. I walked away back in the 80s, and that was that. And God bless these men. They figured it out. You know how many men would be better off right now if they had protected their virginity? They would have had superpowers by now. There's a group called the Wizards, and they say if a guy remains a virgin until 30, he gains superpowers. And I think they're absolutely right. Okay? You gain self-control. Guys, women chose the bear and now they can go live in the woods. A lot of women are going to find themselves in increasing amounts of hardship and poverty and destitution, living in their cars, living in the streets, living in shelters, living in the woods, because they said, men, we don't need you, but they were just fronting. Society said, men, we don't need you, but society was just full of crap. Now Trump is back in office, and guess what? He's not playing games, okay? Daddy's home and he's taking his belt off. He's pissed and he's taking his belt off. All right. So we know what's gonna happen. And men are basically just going to sit back, drink their drink, and watch the sparks fly. Because it's a whole different term. It's a whole different era. And it's not going to be pretty. And guys are basically buckling down. Men are gonna guys, I told you, Elon has said that he's gonna be strip cutting every program he can cut. He's going to cut like $2 trillion right away. Elon is doing this. So do not get it twisted. Like, a lot of change is coming. He said that people should prepare for a short period of hardship, of hard times, because a lot of resources are going to dry up. A lot of government benefits are going to dry up. As a man, if you have health insurance, a roof over your head, and food, you don't need much else. A place to sleep, a place to poop, and a little bit of entertainment. You don't need anything at all. Simplicity is luxury. Okay? That's luxury for a man. Women, on the other hand, they basically need consumption because they have an emptiness inside of them that they can never fill. The only thing that could fill that is motherhood, family, and community. Something that they did not want, they threw away, and now they will have nothing at all. Men are quitting their jobs to stay home and chill, and I think it's incredible. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA Men walking away. And cheers.